Hello students, I am Professor Saili Rathod from International Center of Excellence in Engineering and Management ICEEM Aurangabad. This is the video number 15 of Electrical Measuring Techniques, that is EMT. In this video lecture we are going to start with the second unit, which is measurement of resistance. So the topic that we are going to cover today is different types of resistors. In that we are going to see low resistance, medium resistance and high resistance, and then we are going to see what are the different methods of measurement of these types of resistance. Okay, so let's start with the today's topic. First we will see what are the subtopics that we have to cover in the second unit. So in measurement of resistance, we will see measurement of low resistance, medium and high resistance. Then we will see the Kelvin's double bridge. Then we will see the ammeter, voltmeter method, measure, earth tester for earth resistance measurement, measurement of insulation resistance when power is on. Okay, so these are the complete topics of second unit. So today we will see measurement of low, medium and high resistance. In this, first we will see the types. Then we will see the Kelvin's double bridge and the merger. Okay. So these two types of measuring techniques we are going to cover in today's video lecture. So what is actually the measurement of resistance? In electrical circuit, basically there are three elements, that is resistance, conductance and capacitance. Okay, so as you have already seen the basic types of components, you must know what are the different components that we are going to that we can use to design a circuit. Okay, so resistance, conductance and capacitance, these are the different components which can be used or which can be combined to form a particular circuit. In fact, each electrical equipment is consisting of these elements or combination of these elements. So this chapter mainly concentrates on the method of measurements of different resistances. Okay, so as the name of the chapter itself tells us that it is all about the measurement of resistance. So let's start with the classification of resistance. So first we will see the definition. Resistance is a property of a material by virtue of which it opposes the flow of current. Okay, so resistance means what? Which resists the current. It is very important part in electronics equipments and also in electrical equipments, because many times the capacity of a particular device or circuit is not that much to tolerate a high current. So to avoid the damage of that device, we have to use the resistances so that the flow of current can be resisted. According to nature of supply, resistance can be denoted as DC resistance and AC resistance. Now the DC resistance. So students, I am considering all of you are familiar with the Ohm's law. What is the Ohm's law? The basic formula is known to everyone. This is also in physics, in the basic science also. V is equals to IR. So what does the Ohm's law states? The law states that the direct current flowing in a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference between its ends, provided that all the physical states of conductor remains same. Okay, so the direct current flowing in a conductor, if you consider any current carrying conductor, in that the current is directly proportional to the V. V is nothing but the potential difference, or you can say it voltage. It is usually formulated as I is directly proportional to V. I is the current and V is the potential difference, or you can say it as the voltage. the constant of proportionality is called the resistance. Okay, so as I is directly proportional to V, if you take out the proportionality constant, we can denote it as the resistance, which is denoted by R and which is measured in ohms. Then the Ohm's law can be written as I is equals to V upon R, and the unit for I is amperes. So you can write I equals to V upon R, or you can write V is equals to I into R. So this is about the Ohm's law. So according to this, we can classify the resistances in different types. Now there are two categories. First one is according to nature of supply and according to value of resistances. So according to nature of supply, these resistances are classified into DC resistance and AC resistance. Okay, so in our syllabus, we need not to study these 2 points, though it is very important, but we will concentrate on the topics that we have in syllabus only. So according to value of resistances, there are three types of resistance. First one is low resistance, second is medium, and third one is the high resistance. Now what is the low resistance? If the range of the resistance is below 1 ohm, then the resistance is called as the low resistance. For an example, resistance series field winding of a DC series generator, resistance of armature winding of generator, earth wire resistance. All are the three examples of low resistance. Now the medium resistance. If the range of the resistance lies between 1 ohm to 0.1 mega ohm, then it can be called as the medium resistance. The examples are resistance of field winding of DC shunt generator, resistance of long transmission line. And the third type is the high resistance. If the resistance is above 0.1 mega ohm, then that type of resistance is called as the high resistance. Resistance of cable insulation, resistance of insulator disc of transmission line. These are the examples of high resistance. So remember these three basic points. Resistance are classified into three categories according to their range. So first we will see the measurement of high resistance. So there are different types of methods or devices which can be used for the measurement of high resistance. These are listed here. First one is direct deflection method, second one is loss of charge method, third one is ohm meter, and fourth one is the merger. So from all these four, the merger is the point that we have to study in our syllabus. So we will see what is a merger and how it is used to measure the high resistance. So this is the basic diagram of the merger. Here you can see two magnets, permanent magnets are there. Between these two permanent magnets, there are two coils. First one is the control coil, second is the deflecting coil. At this point, there is a pointer attached which can be deflected between this scale, that is from 0 to infinity. After that, there is again magnet, and between these magnets there is a hand driven generator. If the merger is a manual merger, then a hand driven generator is used. Here you can see 3 points are attached: the earth, line and ground. Here the resistance, current coil resistance is connected to the line, and again one pressure coil resistance is connected to the earth point. These two types of coils are used to avoid the damage to the device. Okay, so this is about the construction of the merger. Now we will see the working of the merger. Construction. Here the construction is also described point wise. First one is deflecting and controlling coil. Where is the deflecting and control coil? These two are the deflecting and control coil. These are connected parallel to the generator, mounted at the right angle to each other, and maintain polarities in such a way to produce torque in opposite direction. Okay, so the main function of these coils is to produce the torque in opposite direction, and these coils are mounted parallel between the two magnets at right angle. Now the second point is permanent magnet, means this one. These magnets produce magnetic field to deflect the pointer with north-south pole magnet. Okay, so as you can see here, there is a pointer. So the deflection of this pointer is produced due to this permanent magnets. Now the third point is pointer. One end of the pointer is connected with coil. Another end deflects on the scale from infinity to 0. Okay, so as I have already described this, that the pointer is deflected between this scale, measuring scale, which ranges from 0 to infinity. Now the DC generator or battery connection. The testing voltage is produced by hand operated DC generator. Here you can see the hand driven generator for manual operated merger. As I have already explained you that if the merger is manually operated merger, then a hand driven generator is used, and for an electronic voltage charger can be provided for automatic type merger for same purpose. So there are two options: either you can use the electronic voltage charger or you can use the manually operated merger. For the manually operated merger, we can use the hand operated DC generator. So this is the fifth part of the construction of merger. Then the last point is pressure coil resistance and current coil resistance. For the protection of the instrument from any damage because of low external electrical resistance under test, we have connected here a resistance, and again here there is one more resistance. So this is about the construction of merger. Now the working of merger. The first point says that voltage for testing produced by hand operated merger by rotation of crank in case of hand operated type. A battery is used for electronic tester. Okay, so as we know, if the merger is manually operated, then we need a hand driven generator as shown in the right side. Then 500 volt DC is sufficient for performing test on equipment range up to 440 volts. 1000 to 5000 volt is used for testing for high voltage electrical system. Okay, so if we want to test a very high voltage electrical system, then how many voltage you need? 1000 to 5000. Now the deflecting coil or current coil. These coils are connected in series and allows the flowing the electric current taken by the circuit being tested. So deflecting coil and the control coil, which is connected in between the two magnets, and the pointer is also connected at the same place. The control coil, also known as pressure coil, is connected across the circuit. The last point is current limiting resistor, that is CCR, and the PCR, that is pressure coil resistance, are connected in series with control and deflecting coil to protect damage in case of very low resistance in external circuit. Okay, so this diagram is very easy, in which there are three main parts. The input lines are there, earth, line and ground, where two resistance are used for the protection of the device. Then the central part consists of two magnets, permanent magnets, between which there is a control coil and deflecting coil, and the third and the rightmost part is the magnet. Between these two magnets there is a hand driven generator if the merger is manually operated. So this is about the working of merger. In hand operated measure, electromagnetic induction effect is used to produce the test voltage, that is armature ranges, to move in permanent magnetic field or vice versa. Whereas in electronic type measure, batteries are used to produce the testing voltage. As the voltage increases in external circuit, the deflection of the pointer also increases. Okay, so as this system is for the measurement of the resistance, so as the voltage increases, the deflection of the central pointer will goes on increasing, and the deflection of pointer decreases with the increase in the current. Okay, it means if the current increases, then the deflection of the pointer decreases. Hence, the resultant torque is directly proportional to voltage and inversely proportional to current. Remember this point, that is, resultant torque is directly proportional to voltage and inversely proportional to the current. When electrical current being tested is opened, torque due to voltage coil will be maximum and pointer shows infinity, means no shorting throughout the circuit, and has maximum resistance within the circuit under test. If there is short circuit, pointer shows 0, which means no resistance within the circuit being tested. So all these points are related to the merger and working of the merger. So if you are asked about this merger, then what you should remember, which type of resistance is measured, you should be able to draw the diagram. You should be able to explain the construction and working of the merger. Now the next point is measurement of low resistance. Low resistance can be measured by using these 3 points: Kelvin bridge, Kelvin's double bridge method, and voltmeter and ammeter method. So from these points we are going to see the Kelvin's bridge and the voltmeter ammeter bridge. So first one is Kelvin bridge. Here the diagram of the Kelvin bridge is drawn here. Now we will see Kelvin bridge and its working. Kelvin bridge is a modified Wheatstone bridge and provides high accuracy, especially in the measurement of low resistance. As this Kelvin bridge is mainly used for the measurement of low resistance. It is the portion of leads and contacts where we must do modification. Because of this, there is an increment in net resistance, where C is equals to the unknown resistance, D is the standard resistance whose value is known. Okay, now moving towards the diagram, here you can see, as this is the modification of Wheatstone's bridge. So construction is similar to the Wheatstone bridge. Here you can see 4 resistances are there, A, B, C and D, and there is a galvanometer which can be connected at different points like J, K, D, etc. So while working of the Kelvin bridge, the important point is to deflect the galvanometer from D, J and K. Let us mark the 2 points J and K. Okay, as in the figure you can see, these are the 2 points J and the K. If the galvanometer is connected to J point, if this galvanometer is connected at J point, the resistance T is added to D. The resistance T is added to D, which results in too low value of C. So if this pointer is connected at J, then the value of C will be too low. This will be low. Now we connect galvanometer to K point. Okay, now in the next point we will connect the galvanometer at point K. It would result in high value of unknown resistance C. What it will result? It will make the resistance high. Now let us connect the galvanometer to point D, which is lying in between J and K, such that T divides T into ratio T1 and T2. Now from the above figure it can be seen that T1 by T2 is equals to A upon B. Okay, now in this three conditions are there. If we connect the pointer at J, the resistance will become low. If we connect it at K, then the resistance will become high. But if you want to maintain the resistance not high not low, then you have to connect the galvanometer at D. So if you connect it at D, the resistance it will divide the T into two parts, T1 and T2, and this is the requirement of our circuit. Now if we connect it the galvanometer at the point D, then what will happen? The T will be divided into two parts, T1 and T2. Thus T1 upon T2 will be equal to A upon B. So using these values we can solve the equation, and thus we can conclude the Kelvin's bridge. Now C plus T1 is equals to A upon B in bracket D plus T2. Also we have T1 upon T2 is equals to A upon B. So here you can see there are four resistance A, B, C and D. Now here what we have done, we have taken the ratio of A upon B, but we have added the T1 in C and we have added the T2 in D. So if A upon B is equals to C upon D, so after adding T1 into C and T2 into D, so we will get this equation as C plus T1 is equals to A upon B D plus T2. Now we know that T1 by T2 is equals to A upon B. So T1 upon T1 plus T2 is equals to A upon A plus B. Okay, so what we have done, we have added the numerator into denominator. Added the numerator to denominator. So thus we got this equation. After, if we take this part denominator to the right side, we will get A upon A plus B into T is equals to T1. So this is the equation for T1. As T1 plus T2 is equals to T and T2 is equals to B upon A plus B into T. So we have two equations for T1 and this is for T2. So if we put these values of T1 here and T2 here, so we can modify the equation as C plus A upon A plus B into T is equals to A upon B into in bracket D plus B upon A plus B into T. So we will get this final equation. This will be derived from the above equations, and it implies that C equals to A upon B into D. Thus we can conclude that there is no effect of T, as in the equation you can see without the T we can see C equals to A upon B into D. So we can conclude that there is no effect of T, that is resistance of leads. Practically it is impossible to have such situation, but the above simple modification suggests that the galvanometer can be connected between these points J and K so as to obtain the null point. Okay, so whatever we have studied in this Kelvin's bridge, this is a theoretical concept. It is possible in practical way, but it will not give the exact results. So it may be theoretically true, but practically it will deflect from the actual theory points. So this is about the measurement of low resistance. So in today's video lecture we have seen what is the measurement of resistance. We have seen different types of resistances. Then in that we have seen for the high resistance there is a method for measurement which is called as the measure, and for the measurement of low resistance we have seen the Kelvin's bridge. So the next methods to measurement of resistance we will see in the next lecture. So till that, keep studying. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.